Hi, welcome back to the Launch Point Leader podcast. My name's Lori.
This is Beau.
We're so excited to be back here for another week to share with you a letter as written in. You can always write us on our website at launchpointleader.com. We'll head right into our letter today. It says, Dear Launchpoint, I'm a leader for a team of 35. This is my first year leading the team, and going in, I set really ambitious goals for the year. Now it's almost the end of quarter one, and as I write this and looking at where we are, I realize we're already behind on our Q1 and Q2 targets. I don't want to ignore reality and push forward as if everything is fine, but I also don't want my team to think that whenever we don't hit a goal, we'll just change it. These are my first real numbers that show how I'm performing as a team leader, and I don't want to let everyone down. So how do I pivot in a way that keeps us motivated and accountable without making it feel like our goals don't really matter? We're not far off from our goals, but just far enough to make it clear that my projections were unrealistic. Thanks. Pivot or push through.
Just far enough that it's clear my projections were unrealistic.
Right. Very interesting sentence.
I would actually start there and really dig in to ask the question, is it or are they unrealistic? We had this in a company last year where we started off the year with some specific goals in mind, some numerical goals. And we got through the first quarter. So, I mean, honestly, I could have written this letter last year. We got through the first quarter and it was like, what are we doing right now? And we had to go back and evaluate some things. And the reality was some of the business environment, some of the cost pressures, some of the economy things had changed. And it had changed in such a way that it wasn't just our particular one operation business. It had impacted an industry. It had impacted a segment of the economy. And so we had to look at that and go, okay, what is reality? So I think that's where I would start is, have you actually gone and done the research to go, what's reality?
Sure.
For your business, but for the overall economy, the businesses like yours as well. Once you've looked at what the reality is, then go, okay, where have we lacked in our execution of the systems, of the people, the processes, etc.? Where have we had some opportunities that we could shore up? And once you kind of learn what the realistic, impacts of the world are on your business, and then what your gaps are, you then can have a plan to go forward and not only set or be able to tell you, are they realistic goals or not, but you can go, okay, this is what we're going to do to meet those realistic goals. So for us in Q1 last year, we had some things that impacted us. We had to adjust our goals down a little bit, but I was very clear with our team, and I presented data that said, hey, what we had originally thought, I believe is unrealistic on a few points. Here's why. Do you agree or disagree?
Right.
Agreed. Great. I do believe that realistically we can hit these goals. And here's why. So I showed data around system execution that we weren't hitting, things that were in with our complete control that we weren't doing. And they agreed as well. And so the goals that we ended up going with might have been lower than the initial, but they were higher than what we were hitting. But we used complete logic and data to set those two things. So I would think with this person, I would just say, have you done that? And have you brought your team in on that? Don't just go back to them and go, all right, guys, we're changing it. This is what we're doing. No, bring your whole team, bring your leadership team on and have them be a part of that conversation and process, because you'll be surprised. There are going to be some people on that team that'll challenge what you're thinking.
Yeah.
When you might even want to set them lower, they'll be like, no, we've got this.
We can do it.
And it's like, are you sure? And again, last year for us, it happened.
It did.
We had one leader that was like, no, we're not lowering this particular metric because it's in our
I'm going to hit it.
Complete control. And I think the rest of the team was like, okay.
We'll see.
And guess what?
Check back in.
They did it. They did it. And so I just don't underestimate the power of your team either, regardless of what circumstances might be. Don't underestimate the power of your team. And that's why you always bring them in and don't just dictate what the new goal is going to be, or if you're going to continue on the same journey that you're on right now with the goal that you set.
Yeah. When I was reading this, I was thinking of a similar time, different year, 2022, when we're coming out of the pandemic. Supply chain was just
Oh,
all over. I mean, we could do episodes and episodes on the
you're gonna make
2022
me
supply
cry.
chain staffing
Yeah.
shortage. Our guests we had on the last few weeks, I think they all could
Holy
do
cow!
their own episodes. But I think it was also different because I was also
We rented U-Haul trucks
yeah
and drove around hours away
pick up product.
over state lines to try to pick up product. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Rented our own supplies, like freezer trucks
We
for when
did.
we wouldn't get trucks for
Amazing.
days. Anyways, we
Amazing.
said we wouldn't do it, but here we go.
Here we are.
I was thinking of that time and just sitting in the restaurant having a similar type of meeting, and we brought out like the large sticky notes and like put them on across the table.
Yep.
And we're just saying like what we thought we were ending in 2021 and the goals we had set, and so lofty. We were so motivated. Like our team left that retreat at the end of 2021 like bought in on this very solid, seemingly achievable goal. We're sitting there in like late February. It's cold. People are talking about, all the things that are happening and feeling super defeated.
I've got old neighbors making a mask for us.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Goals change.
Yeah. And so we're just saying like, it can't happen. And you did a very similar thing. And you were like, I know that this isn't achievable. And it's like, one, you giving us permission to evaluate the goal, just not even saying what the new goal would be, giving us permission to evaluate. It was like a sigh went out on the team of like, we're not failures.
That's a key. So I don't want to stop you
No,
too long, but like that is a key. Giving permission to evaluate the goal and asking the team to look at the data and the situation and go, what do you think?
Yeah.
Instead of going, hey, I know we can't do it, so here's the new goal.
Right.
So, yep, great.
Yeah, and so just that, and having that conversation, and at the time figuring out, like, let's look at other industries that are in this, like other food service is what we were in. So, I mean, looking at that and saying, what are people doing? How are people getting through this right now? And what is achievable for us? And, of course, you've got a high motivated team. They're not going to say, we're going to do the bare minimum of what everybody's doing. We're going to say, maybe we can't do what we set out, but doing that. So I think that I was thinking very similar, like different scenario, but same outcomes to that. And then two, I think it's also the idea of, I've also lived on the other side where you get to the end of a quarter and you go to an evaluation and you go, oh, you didn't really hit the goals, but that's fine. Nobody really did this quarter. We're just going to mark it off. Like as a person, as a leader on my team, I wouldn't think less of you guys I don't think less of the goals if we have that evaluation conversation and say, hey, it's looking like we're not going to hit it. What are we going to strive for this quarter? Than getting to the end of the quarter and being like, oh, well, that's all right. We'll get them next time. Like those are two different scenarios. And saying here, you don't want to just passively let it by once you realize, which can be tempting and go like, there's things happening. It's tough. It's hard. Like you want to give those excuses in the moment, but you talk about worrying. You said like, I don't want the team to feel like every time we don't hit a goal, we'll change it. Yeah. Having those conversations that we've been talking about at the beginning of this episode is how it doesn't feel like the new rule or like, it doesn't really matter. We take it more seriously almost. We say like, we're hitting this head on. We are attacking it before we let it just flow past us. Yeah.
And doing so with actual data. So like, let's get tactical and go, okay, so if profitability is an example, it's an easy one to measure. So if the cost of goods has increased by 2% and you, based on your accounting and based on your management of goods coming through your business or services that you're selling, whatever it might be, you've got a 0.25% opportunity, right? So cost of goods have increased 2%, you've got a 0.25% opportunity. If your goal was where it was going to be before cost of goods increased 2%, you can adjust back down, but don't adjust back down 2% less. Sure. Adjust back down 2% less a quarter, right? Because that's what your opportunity is, and that is a realistic expectation. And then if you want to say, actually, I think we're better than that, we can probably not just manage it the way we should, we can probably find some cost savings and kind of increase it a little bit there. So just get tactical with it. That's, I think, what we mean by using real data.
Correct.
With everything with it.
Yeah, and that's always such a good one, too, going back to the profit opportunity, maybe rather than the margins when those numbers just aren't achievable right then, I think is really good.
Absolutely. So, lots of opportunities here to think about. I think you're never going to hit all of your goals. Yeah. And the great news is it's Q1 and Q2. Or it's at the end of Q1, I guess, and Q2 targets don't look realistic. Great. Guess what? you've still got most of quarter 2,
Yep.
all of quarter 3, and all of quarter 4 to evaluate how you're executing, to evaluate are your goals realistic, and to go how do we align our organization behaviorally to reach the goals that we know can be reached. So you're not in a lost cause here. You're not, I want to go back. I pulled this letter up because this last line was so interesting. We're not far off, but just far enough to say our projections weren't realistic. Think about that. And I think I would challenge this reader and this writer to go, what do you mean by that? And really dig back in. Does the data support that? And if it does, how far off are you and what is realistic, and define it for your team?
That's good. And maybe you realize when you have that tactical conversation, you're pulling that data that maybe that just far off, it is pushable. There is a way to challenge your team. Think about something differently creative. That's where you can get the ideas. And maybe you lead with in the areas specifically where you know you're so close on some of your goals. Like, what's the little push we can do rather than how do we change the goal? Start with the push and see what the feedback is. Like you said earlier, don't underestimate your team and the buy-in, especially if you've done a really good job on creating these goals as a unit and pushing them with your team. They've got skin in the game with that too. They want to hit those goals. So don't just discount that and assume that you're the only one paying attention and caring about these numbers. And if you are, great sign to start teaching them buy-in and teaching that so that they do have that commitment.
Very true.
Yeah, I love it.
That's it. That's a wrap. Put a bow on it.
That's a wrap. That's it. Pivot or push. I think don't be afraid to pivot, but I would push. Push your team. Pivot in a smart way. Pivot in a calculated way. We talked about when, before we started recording the Friends episode where they're pivoting. Maybe if they had calculated beforehand and done some thinking before they were stuck. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there you go. Pivot or push through. Thank you so much for writing in. We really appreciate you sharing just your leadership journey. If you or someone else out there wants to write us in, just visit our website at launchpointleader.com, and we would love to hear from you guys. And all of our episodes are also linked up on there. So thanks so much. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.